I'm Andy Olson of Echozoe Ministries. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Lessons in Logic. For this one, I'm talking about the etymology fallacy. Now, etymology really is the study of how words came into being, what they mean, what they used to mean, how they originated, where they came from, how long they've been in usage, and the history of words. And so this fallacy really plays off of that history of a meaning of a word. If you remember back, we talked about the equivocation fallacy a number of episodes back. And the equivocation fallacy, which was very, very similar to this, played off kind of a spectrum, a range of meaning in words, how words can have multiple meanings, but be used fallaciously to kind of equate different meanings when they shouldn't be equated. This one does a similar kind of thing, but it does it through a range of meaning over time, because we know that words often change meaning over time. Sometimes it's very quick. It could be a matter of a few years or a generation or two. A word can change meaning. Sometimes it's over centuries that words change meaning, but words do change meaning. So I don't have any theological or scriptural examples of where this one comes up, but it's kind of easy to show through the U.S. Constitution. So we've got the Second Amendment to the Constitution, which grants or guarantees the right to keep and bear arms here in the United States. Now, there's a clause in there, and I don't remember the word-for-word phrasing of the Second Amendment off the top of my head, but it talks about a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of the state, or something to that effect. That all citizens, everyone should be able to keep and bear arms. All individual people. And so there are anti-gun groups which will cling on to that militia clause, and they'll say, well, see, it's only the militia. And they're using a 21st century understanding of that term militia. Often in common parlance, militia is they try to get that to mean the National Guard. If you're outside the United States, not familiar with the National Guard, it's kind of like the state subsets of our military. There's an Air National Guard and an Army National Guard. There are people that are volunteers that can be called up quickly to go and secure areas or perform necessary tasks. Well, back in the late 18th century, when the 1780s and 90s, when that Constitution was written, the militia simply just meant all able-bodied male citizens. It was just anybody who had the physical ability to grab a rifle and go out and defend the country. And so that's why it was necessary, is anybody should be able to just grab their rifle and go and repel a foreign invader or repel any kind of hostile force. And so that's the etymology fallacy at play there. There's also the Commerce Clause in the Constitution. It's often used to impose taxes or restrict how people can sell their stuff. They manufacture things, and it gets federal involvement in manufacturing and sales of goods. Back in the 1780s and 90s, the word regulate really meant just to make regular, just to smooth things out, to say that, once, say, the state of Missouri should not be able to say that its people can do business with Kansas, but it can't do business with Arkansas. Or the state of New York can sell certain products to Vermont, but they can't sell them to New Jersey. The founders wanted people to be able to manufacture and sell their goods across state lines throughout the country. And but we see that now in the 21st century, the word regulate has come to mean for the government to come in and restrict, to pass laws determining exactly how people can do this, that, or the other thing. And you get things like, percentage of alcohol in the beer, to the amount of bacteria that can be used to cultivate a brick of cheddar cheese in Wisconsin. And they use this clause within the Constitution to justify over-restricting such things that the founders never intended them to get involved in the first place. So there you see just two cases where two different words change their meaning over the course of about 240, 250 years. And so people will argue from current usage back to the late 18th century and what must have been meant at that point in time. So that's the etymology fallacy, and thanks for joining me for that. If you're watching on YouTube, I've mentioned the playlist before, and if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. That helps get these out and share them. And I'm doing these one fallacy at a time because it makes it easy for you to just send a link off and say, hey, this fallacy is showing up, and this is how it works. And so kind of help you not only help yourself, but help others in learning how to discuss things and debate and think logically. So thanks again. We'll be back again soon for another edition of Lessons in Logic.